It's working.
Good.
Go ahead, Steve.
If you have a an iPhone, and it reads the exFAT file table, is it worth converting your USB drives from NTFS to exFAT? Like, are they virtually the same, or are there major differences and benefits of one over the other?
I think it depends on where you want to store them. Does it really matter?
Well, at the moment, I've got all the videos and stuff all stored on 5 terabyte NTFS drives, 10 of them.
Yeah, but you could still access them with your iPhone, right?
Not directly, no. If I plug it in, it won't read them. But apparently it would do if they were in exFAT. So I just wondering if there was any, drawbacks to having them in exFAT as opposed to NTFS.
I
don't.
I've no clue.
Can't answer that. Can you see that if you're not using your iPhone? Can you still see it if it's exFAT files?
Well, the way I have been doing it was to share it through the network.
Right.
And then it can see them over the network. But if I plug the thing in directly to the iPhone, it doesn't.
I don't know. I would.
Doesn't read an NTFS partition.
That's a good Google one. That's a good YouTube question. I bet you if you Googled that, not Googled it, but you went to YouTube and posed that as a question, that's a good question. And I bet you someone's asked that question and done a video on it, right? So have a look on YouTube.
I didn't find one that really answered the question.
No YouTube videos on that?
Not that I've seen. I'm gonna try it out anyway with a smaller USB drive first and see.
Just do one file. Don't do
how large of files do you have? I mean, I know that you probably have an aversion to using cloud storage, but you could still put them on, have the backup on your, on your external storage, but you could be able to access them on your phone or any device as you put them in the cloud.
Yeah, but I'm not going to put 50 terabytes of files up in the cloud.
Ooh. That's a lot.
Yeah, well, that's what I've got connected to my laptop right now.
Yeah.
I guess you don't have them backed up.
Some I do, the important ones. And the
50
the
terabytes would be hard to back up.
The system drives and the data drives, of course, you back up all the time.
Yeah.
Are these genealogy related photos?
No, mostly videos and specialty stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of 4K videos. Like 4K movies averagely run around 60 gigs a piece.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Doesn't take many of those to fill up a drive pretty quick.
No.
Any particular reason why 4K? I mean, what do you watch them on?
There aren't any 8K videos out yet.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, it makes a huge difference. If you've seen a movie in 4K, you watch it in 1080p or lower, it looks really crappy by comparison.
Mm.
And two, it depends on the equipment that you're viewing it on.
Well, yeah, obviously, if you've only got a 720p TV set, then 4K isn't going to do you anything. But you got a 4K monitor. So far, I haven't seen any 8K video, but that'd be great to see on an 8K TV.
I have a 2K.
Has anybody had any experience with exFAT?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, something to test out and try them.
Mike Swift mentioned in the chat box that Santa brought him a Chromebook for Christmas, and now he feels a part of the inside group.
There you go. He should. Did he sign up? We should ask him. Did you sign up for our learning Chromebooks? You should do that.
Yeah, I'm signed up for that too.
Oh, great!
Well, congratulations, and I hope you enjoy it and watch some of our videos.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, indeed. I was, yes, that was a good show last week. It worked out really well.
I got a lot of nice responses from the email I sent out to everybody that's registered
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah. It's, that worked out really good. It's, well, we'll see what happens in Chrome OS 97, see if there are any new features coming out. It's going to be
Supposed to be January 5th, I think.
Is it? It's going to be a fun year. There's going to be lots of exciting things happening with
Well,
Chromebooks.
let's not talk too much about the coming.
Oh, that
year
could
yet.
be my prediction. That could be a
Yeah,
prediction.
yeah,
We don't want to take the predictions away, right? That's true. That's true. But yes, it will. It's going to be a fun year for technology.
I'm trying to catch up with last year's. Actually, I'm trying to catch up with Windows 95. And
Yes.
I remember precisely where I was on the day Windows 95 was introduced. I was on a tour bus in Paris, riding down the Champs-Élysées, and I saw a computer store with a sign in the window with a Windows 95 store out my bus window. I'll never forget.
I remember where I was. I was standing in front of CompUSA at midnight trying to get in to get my copy.
I remember CompUSA well.
Yeah.
yeah, I remember them too. I can't remember. I don't think it was the release. I think it was the announcement or the announcement of the release or something. But I was at an Atlanta Comdex, and they had the code name for Windows 95 was Chicago. And the introduction of it was at the Omni Center in Atlanta. And Bill Gates introduced it with the band Chicago playing. And I was sitting in the stands, and the people right in front of me were handing out discs. And they weren't Windows discs. They were their company's disc. And they were saying, with this new great thing that we are coming out with, this brand new thing, you need to try it. And I kept saying, well, gee, I have a BBS and I have, and then there's CompuServe for those people who want to pay for stuff. Why would we need this America Online thing that you've got?
I remember Bill Gates saying that he wanted to use Start Me Up, that Rolling Stones song. So he asked the Rolling Stones for the, of course, Mick Jagger didn't want to give it to Bill Gates, so he just made up and okay, I want 10 million for it. So he says, okay, here you go, send him a check, and that was it. He had to give it to him. That's how they got to use it. I mean, tell them 10 million bucks for the rights just to use one song.
So if people remember back to Windows 95, you will remember, of course, that's when they incorporated Internet Explorer as part of the OS. Now, prior to that, there were no such things as viruses. And that's exactly once the first week Windows 95 came out, then these things started to crash. And we actually were running it in our business. And, this was a big problem because they were sending updates out like weekly to try and, patch the holes in here that were really being, targeted not by the sophisticated hackers that Bob talks about all the time now, but these were pimply faced kids. These were the first generation of virus producers, and it was Windows 95 when all this started.
Carl has his hand up.
Carl, go ahead.
Hey, you guys talking about all this new OS. I remember 3.1, and it was what you see is what you get. You guys are all young kids.
I remember that.
Yeah. Do you remember?
I still have the installation discs for 3.1.
But I was going to say, I remember having a Norton antivirus on a floppy that some friends have told me that I needed to install that on my computer.
Yeah.
But that was before Windows 95. That was.
I remember DOS 3.3 and 3.1.
Yeah, it was DOS 3. Well, that was Windows 3.1 and 1.1 and
But if you go back earlier, Carl, do you remember Word Perfect? And you remember Word Perfect and Word and how you couldn't they wouldn't talk to one another and they were completely different file formats. And then you had to get at third party at great expense, I might add, you had to buy this conversion software to convert a file going from Word Perfect to Word or backwards. You know, life was really different back then, eh?
Well, in 1985, I was working at GM IT, and we were the first in the company to get 4-color monitors. Before that, they were all green monocolors. And we had dot matrix printers, and we also had, I remember taking a class on Symphony. That's where you integrated the 3 programs, you know, Word and Excel, and what was the other one? I think it was, I don't know, it's database
Some
or
database.
PowerPoint, something like that.
we used that at my, we used Symphony at my work, at my job.
So we had in our office, we had a Texas 990 and it had these big spinning platters. And I had to buy a 30 megabyte, not gigabyte, 30 megabyte hard drive. I was so happy I got a used one for $39,000.
Well,
wow.
A 30 megabytes. You know, they had the old spinning platters. It was because we didn't have PCs back in the early days when I started, we didn't have PCs, right? So I know I'm a lot older than most of you.
I still have my receipts from my first clone desktop. You know, with 1 meg, I think, processor, 5 gigabyte hard drive, I believe. It was like another $300 to go to 10. The whole thing with the dot matrix printer was $3,800. I still have the receipt.
I bought my first one from a Serious Business Center. It was an Epson Equity 2. And it had a 40 meg hard drive and a color monitor. And I think I paid close to $3,000 for it. No printer.
And didn't everyone have an Atari? I had my first
I didn't have an
Atari.
Atari.
$1,200 I paid for my Atari. Didn't everyone have an Atari?
No,
I had an Atari, I had a VIC 20, that was the brand new one. 3K of RAM, fabulous.
I
The VIC
forgot-
20 was great, but I started with a Sinclair.
Mhm.
I started with the VIC 20, Bob, and it had a tape drive. It didn't even have
That's
a hard
correct.
drive.
That's
And
correct.
then I got the VIC 20, and I thought I had evolved when I had the Commodore computer. What was it? Commodore
64.
Commodore PET,
No, the
Commodore
64.
64.
No, it
The
was,
64 came next, and then came the Amiga.
well, no, it was the Commodore. It was a color, you know, and but it was a step
It was
up from the VIC 20, and it was really inexpensive, like
64 was the
like
next one.
$129 or something.
No,
Yeah, I had a Commodore PET. That was my first computer. I
right,
bought
that
it
came
in-
before the VIC 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the schools were using one. I remember lugging one home for the weekend for my son. And you could bring it home to pet. It was all in one, the monitor and a computer
Right.
and so forth.
Right. That's what Michael Swift just said in the chat. He said it, and I never had a luggable, but that was what we used to call a luggable, right?
yes.
Hey,
Remember
Ron,
those?
oh, yeah, you had, I'm trying to think.
That had that little screen, and then it was
Osborne,
this
is
big
when I had
box, right?
The first one
I
I
had an
saw
Osborne.
was made by Compaq.
Right. Dorothy,
Yeah.
go ahead, Dorothy.
First one was 1982, Apple IIe with 34, I think it was 34 memory and 2 5-inch floppies. One was the operating system, one was the program.
Remember when 640K was the ultimate? That's the most you could put in it. Remember?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, my,
Ron, we have to thank the Canadians for coming up with the Commodore. We'd still be in the dark ages.
You remember who it was that said 640K ought to be enough for anybody?
Was that
Bill
Bill
Gates.
Gates?
Bill Gates.
Yeah, that's right.
George, do you have a
I
question?
gotta put
George,
my hand down.
George, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can.
So we recently had the reunion of the West Coast Computer Society in Vancouver. I think they were formed in 1975. And we soldered our computers together
Oh,
from the Radio and Electronics magazine, which publicized the first personal computers long before PCs came along in that form.
that's good.
Yeah,
There you
I
go.
remember
Dan
building a
left.
RAM. I remember building a RAM doubler for a Commodore 64, and then I doubled that as well. I was the only person that had a Commodore 256 back in the Commodore 64 days.
Yeah, we used to have to load BASIC by pulling paper tapes through homemade optical readers.
I think, I
Sorry.
think in 82, I had a little Mighty Might or whatever. It was 1K, I think, of memory. And you had to I used a Texas Instrument dial-up, like a keyboard to access the memory.
Detlef, go ahead. Now tell us where you're broadcasting. Where are you?
I'm back in Berlin.
Okay,
So-
so international. We're
Yeah,
broadcasting. Yeah. There you go.
Here's something that some of you may enjoy. This is
The
an
TI.
HP 35 calculator that I bought in 1972 because I was going on to graduate school, and I convinced my wife that I needed an HP 35 calculator, which at that time cost $400.
oh my gosh.
I went in and they hand assembled this thing for me. It wasn't coming off an assembly line. And this is one of the first ones that was done then. So I just now calculated that's 50 years old.
It still works. It still
I didn't
works.
realize I'm that old.
I had one too. The first one was a single memory, and then the next model was that the 35 had 4 memories.
Yeah, this is the first one that they came out with.
Yeah.
Took a little bit of convincing to tell my wife that this was really necessary and things, this is graduate school and I've got to have good stuff.
And
I used the same logic when I talked my wife into letting me buy my recent drone. The same logic I use. Neil, go ahead.
Did anybody ever get an Osborne? My first
Yeah.
computer
I
was
was,
Yeah, with the orange screens. Yeah.
that was my third computer, and in 1982 I bought it and joined my first user group, which was the Tampa Bay Osborne user group, in 1982, and I've been a member of user groups ever since, and very active in them.
Neil, we have one over at the club that I've tried to protect it from being destroyed.
How many people? How many
think you're
people
maybe
had
the one that gave
dual
it to us.
21-inch monitors back in
Pardon?
the 80s? How many people had dual 21-inch monitors back in the 80s?
Yeah, these were 5-inch monitors, and I was working at University of Texas, not Tech University, Texas Tech University, whatever the heck. And I installed an 8-baud modem and thought that was cat's pajamas.
I got the 300 baud one for my Osborne, and I was just amazed. And you could watch each letter come up on the screen and watch it go across. We've come a long way since then.
We have.
And the kids can't appreciate what we went through just for them.
No, it
For them to
wasn't.
go
It
to
was,
us.
wait a
Wasn't for
minute.
them.
It wasn't for them. It was for
Yeah.
us. Come on.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. You
No,
might,
I
it might
belong
work with
to
your
a,
wife,
I
but it
belong
didn't
to a
work with the
Mac
kids.
club. And when the county came over with PCs, nobody knew how to set it up. So it left me to set up the PC like a Mac. Worked fine. But I had the Mac Plus. I just love that machine.
Well, it was interesting back then. We didn't really know who was going to be king of the castle. Would it be Microsoft or Apple? We didn't know. It was still an up in the air. Or Linux. Linux could have easily turned out to be the dominant. We just didn't know that Microsoft would turn out the way it did, right?
Yeah, it's a pity Amiga didn't.
Yeah,
We would have had machines 1,000 times faster than what we've got now if Amiga had taken over.
Yeah, Amigas were quite a machine. I had a girlfriend way back then that her son had one, and he showed me different things that he could do with it. Just amazing.
Yeah.
We got to start the show here.
Oh yeah, we got a show coming
Yeah,
up.
we got
don't
a show to do here. So I'm going to mute everybody as soon as I can figure out how to do that.
You push the button that says mute everybody.
Yeah, except it doesn't. Where the heck is it?
All right, you have to unmute
Participants.
yourself.
Can you mute everyone, Bob?
Yes. You need to unmute yourself.
There we go. Welcome, everyone. Tech for Senior, episode 91. And this is December the 27th. It is what is it, 15 degrees Fahrenheit in my little part of the world. So it is cold. Anyway, welcome to the show today. We have about 75 people that have braved the cold weather to come and listen to us. So we hope we have a big show for you today. Lots of fun. Who are over on YouTube about before the music segment, and then if you want to come over, we still have some room for you on our Zoom broadcast, and you can come over and participate in the Q&A. Today on the premiere service that will be running at half past the hour. Guess what we did a year ago? Dewey is going to talk on 5G cellular. I'm going to talk on the second part of two-factor authentication. Now, I forgot I did a two-part series a year ago, so this isn't the recent one I just did. It's the one that we had a year ago. And Hewie is going to talk on tips and tricks for your Chromebook, and that will be at half past the hour. And that will be on the premiere service. So that's over on our YouTube channel, just pop over there and you can see it. Last week, Hewie.
This is episode 92, not 91, 92.
Is this 92?
In 92.
You're kidding. Do you mean I put the promo out with the wrong? It is 92. I stand corrected, Bob. Thank you so much. 92. Oh, correct that. So we will be. Now, what was I going to say? Yes, we had a good week last week. Hewie and I and Bob did learning Chromebooks. We had a good turnout, and I think that went pretty good. So we have, if you want to see if you have a new Chromebook or you got a Chromebook for Christmas, please sign up and have a look at the series. We have a lot of videos out now on Chromebooks, so you should be able to learn some stuff from our site. And what else do we do? And we all hopefully had a happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, and lots of good food with our families. I'm going to not dwell too much on introducing our speakers today, because we have a really big program and I want to get going so that we can get going with the program. So what happened was Hewie and I met on Saturday and we planned out the program. And then when I went to go and do the premiere service, I realized that a year ago, all our experts here gave their predictions for this year. We actually had them on screen giving their predictions for what this year was going to be about. And I thought this is a great year, great opportunity to replay that and see if what they said actually came to fruition. Maybe they didn't get it right. So we'll see if they got it right this year. So that should be fun. And then they're going to give us their predictions for this year as well. I want to thank Gene Legenfelter for his generous donation to our coffee fund. Thank you so much, Gene. I've talked to him personally and thanked him. That was great. Bob, do you want to get going with your segment now? Hello, Bob.
He's muted.
Bob, do you want to? Hello,
It looks like
Bob?
he may be on the phone.
It looks like it.
Let's see, are you? Hello, Bob.
He's muted.
Yeah. Yeah, he must be muted. Well, let's do his we'll do his segment later. Let me start out today. Let me get going with our predictions then. And Bob can do a segment at the end and we'll start right away with our predictions. Now, let's see what, Hewie, where the heck are you? Do you remember what you said last year?
Yeah, I actually went back and watched it.
You peeked. You're not
Yeah,
supposed to. You're not supposed to peek. I told you guys not to do that. All right, let's just see where we are here. Let me share my screen. And let's see what you said.
How are you?
So let's start now with our predictions. Remember, I asked our expert panel that we have today, I asked them what their predictions for the next year will be. What do you think is going to happen? So let's see what they have to say. Why don't you go first, Hewie? What do you think's going to happen next year?
Oh, I got 5 or 6 items here that I've got on my list. The first one I talked about on my Windows Special Interest Group a week ago, Sunday, that I hold. And I had a discussion actually go afterwards to what people felt about it, because I think Microsoft is going to introduce Windows by subscription. In other words, it's going to be cloud-based. I've read some articles about it. I've listened to some discussions about it. I think it's going to happen. It's going to happen either first or second quarter of 2021. I think working at home is also going to continue. Some companies are starting to open up their offices. I know that one of the radio personalities I listen to out of Orlando, he has been quarantined at home for 200 and some odd days. And next week they're sending him back into the studio. So I think, but there's still going to be a lot of people working from home. I think Zoom and other products are going to remain widely in use. And I think we're going to see more and more other companies trying to compete with Zoom. And so we're going to see some other choices. Microsoft's Teams is becoming very popular, although to run a Teams presentation or meeting is quite involved, but for most of the people who join it, it's fairly easy to get on, and you don't have to have a Microsoft account. I think tech for seniors is going to continue to grow. I see fast broadband services prices begin to drop, especially when we start seeing possibly the Elon Musk Starlink start taking hold, and some other things going on that are happening in the industry. Hopefully that the broadband prices will drop. And I also think that user groups are going to continue to hold Zoom meetings. Those who are surviving and doing fairly well. Those who haven't come to this technology are starting to fold. And then some, once we start having real live meetings again, not everybody's going to go to them. So I think what we're going to have, a lot of the user groups are going to be hybrid meetings, where there's going to be some people in the audience and some people at home, and they're going to have to work out all of the logistics and all of the technology for it. And that's my predictions for the year.
So how do you think he did? So what do you think? Do you think he did okay?
The only thing I missed on was the Windows subscription.
Yeah, that didn't sort of help. It didn't happen, did it?
No.
Not yet anyway. Not yet anyway.
When do you want to do the predictions for next year after we do
Let's
all
do
of the
yours now.
review?
You can do it right now. You tell us what you think is going to happen.
All right, let me bring up my list here. I got a fairly big list, so I'm going to skip through a few of them. One is, of course, working from home is going to continue, especially since this recent resurgence. I think, and the Starlink is going to continue to grow and probably grow rapidly. And actually, as I connected this morning, Elon Musk was doing a live presentation. It was talking about some of the things where Starlink and other ventures he's involved in are going. So I'm going to have to go back and review that. But I think you're going to see Starlink really come out and be a lot more available. I think user groups are going to continue with Zoom and hybrid meetings. But a couple other things. I think there's going to be more breaches and more spam from telemarketers. But I think, this is my prediction, I think there's going to be a breakthrough in stopping spam robocalls. But it's going to end up being very controversial. And whether or not people accept it, whatever this new revelation is to stop it, it may involve a lot of us having to decide whether we want to give up our privacy again. And then I think also the IoT, the Internet of Things, is going to continue to grow. We're going to start seeing the internet involved with all kinds of gizmos, gadgets, and everyday electronics that we have. And I think my final one is Windows 11. It's going to gain a percentage, but many people are still going to stick with Windows 10. And that's it for 2022 predictions.
So listen, we're going to hold you to that. I've got this tape now. So
I've got one more. I got one more on my list I forgot to add.
Right.
I think folding phones are going to become more popular.
You do? Okay, well, I agree with that. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Yep, and you can hold it to me.
I'm going to hold you to that because we have it on tape now. So we're going to play this back in a year's time and see what you did. All right.
Can't wait. Hope I'm still here.
Okay. So Bob, you're next. Bob, we're going to do your security segment at the end. Okay. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, whenever.
Okay, we'll do it at the end. Now I'm going to play Bob and see what Bob said. Let's share our screen and let's see what Bob said. It didn't stay in there.
Well, I think working at home, there's still going to be a lot of start taking.
That's not me.
No, I know. Tell us all security will be fine. There's going to be no bad guys, and we will live happily ever after in the new year.
I have a bridge I'd like to sell you. You're going to wind up with more COVID-related infections, fake vaccination offered. You will have an increase in healthcare and pharma. probably are going to have some changes in passwords and the way they're being used. It's simple. No matter how much you preach, they're never going to change. So you can expect more restrictions. You're going to have to start using your smartphone as some kind of secondary identification. Most of us already use two-factor authentication, or many of us do, but it's going to be more prevalent because the passwords alone don't work. There'll be other biometrics, facial recognition, handwriting, all kinds of different things, fingerprints. Deep fake, be careful. That's getting to be to a point you can't tell the difference between a fake and a real. And more people are going to fall for things that look so genuine because they are getting much better at fooling people. And as soon as you click on one of those things that you believe to be the real, genuine article, now your problems are really going to start. That's just some of the things, but expect another increase, especially because more people are now home, more people are using their smart devices, and the more of us use it, the more money the crooks can make when they get into our information.
Well, how did he do? Did he do okay? I think you got most of them, Bob. I think
He did real well.
I think you got most of them. I'm not sure the I guess the biometrics has it really taken off? I guess on the iPhone, maybe. Yeah.
It's not reliable.
Yeah. All right. So what predictions have you got for us now for the future?
Ransomware expected to continue to increase,
Right.
and it's going to hit more platforms. You think you're safe on your Apple device. That won't be that way for long. The more popular things get, the more they'll get hit by ransomware and other infections. There's also going to be an increase in infrastructure getting hit, healthcare, and the ransomware will also start hitting individuals more frequently. They've concentrated pretty much just on companies last year. Expect that to increase for people. Phishing is going to increase. They're getting better at looking like the genuine article, so more and more people will be fooled. And a little more personal, the Norton and Avast merger that's around the corner, the second half of 2022. You're still going to have separate brands continue just as they are now. They'll probably get some, Norton will gain something from Avast and Avast will gain something from Norton. But I think you're pretty much going to keep the brands that you currently have. We'll see how that pans out because I don't have a clue on that either, but we'll see.
Very interesting. Well, we're going to hold you to it. We're taped this. We got it on. We got you on camera now, and we're going to see what everybody says. All right, is that it?
That's it for me.
Thank you, Bob. Let's see who I have now. I think I've got Ray up next. We'll see what Ray said last year about music. Let me share the screen. Unfortunately, this didn't. I thought when I paused it, it would just stay where it is. So I've got to run it through.
I can't wait to see it because I have no idea what I said.
No, come on. Where's my share screen? All right, let's see what you said. But we got to run it along here. Should be about here. A little bit further.
Smart devices in the more.
Okay, Music World Predictions, otherwise known as Where Do We Go From Here? Where do we go from here in 2021? Well, COVID-19 has affected the music business as much as any other industry, maybe more. Consider today, there are no large-scale in-person music concerts in stadiums and arenas. Small venues and clubs that provide musical entertainment are closed. Studio recording is limited. Those out of work will not be spending limited funds on music-related activities. This is a meaningful impact, as musical artists in recent years have garnered most of their income not from the physical sale of recorded music or even streaming and downloads, but from in-person concerts, which also includes the selling of things like clothing and other types of merchandise. So here's my predictions. Prediction number one, concert live streaming to grow. Concert live streaming is when an artist does a live show where there are no or very few fans in attendance. Often these are done from the performer's home, so expenses are kept to a minimum. An example of this new phenomena is the upcoming T-Mobile Presents NYE Live with Justin Bieber, set to broadcast live on New Year's Eve with two rebroadcasts during the next 2 days. Nosebleeds for in-person Bieber in the past were easily over $100 each, but this live streaming concert is only $25. In fact, T-Mobile customers have free access. So lesser known performers can also gain money from these types of broadcasts using such innovative concepts as a tip jar. Prediction number two, music streaming will continue to expand. Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, and others continue to expand their streaming portfolios as more users sign on to their services. Streaming has surprisingly decreased music piracy, as consumers find it more advantageous to pay $10 monthly than spend the time trying to copy low-quality sounding songs from the internet. Streaming services continue to offer more offline features, eliminating the necessity of having a constant internet connection. And then more servers now provide in-home use of their music offerings. As an example, Sirius XM subscribers that receive music in the car can now obtain a free download of this app to hear music in the home. And prediction number three, HD vinyl records to emerge. So the Recording Industry Association of America reports that this past year, 2020, vinyl records will have outsold CDs for the first time since 1986. Think about it. Those of us can remember back in the mid-'80s how when CDs came in, vinyl records would be gone. Well, in fact, vinyl records are still here, and CDs may soon be gone. Record sales accounted for $232 million of music sales in the first 6 months of 2020, while CDs brought in only about $130 million. So there's a new process in manufacturing vinyl records that has emerged, and this will make the creation procedure more digital related. So the outdated process from last century in making a vinyl record has improved to a fast and eco-friendly method of offering the best analog possible. Thank you, folks. Those were
Well, what do you think? Do you think that was Ray's prediction a year ago? What do you think, Ray?
I think some were right on, but some I don't think the new version of the improved version of creating vinyl records has really hit home. They're still having a backlog of trying to get that up to speed.
So what do you think is going to change? What are your predictions for this year?
A little bit quicker. I think large screen monitors, and they've just started to come out, and I think they're going to be a big seller. These are ones that actually rotate. You can make them either sideways or straight up and down, portrait or landscape, and you can rotate them. And those are really going to be popular to people that have limited desk space or in a small area. One monitor large enough to really accommodate where you can have multiple screens open on the one monitor. I do think Windows PC sales will increase substantially. I don't think people are going to wait till 2025 to buy a new Windows 11 computer. I think they're going to go out and buy them next year. So you're going to see that change. I also think that the chip shortage will be not eliminated, but it'll be close to being compensated for by more and more American companies like Intel building facilities just focusing on replacing the chips. And I think that's great where we don't have as much reliance on Asian countries. And with respect to music, yes, I think vinyl record sales, they increased by 7% from 2020 to 2021. And I think that will continue. Here's my prediction. I think the 7-inch vinyl record will have a resurgence. It'll be an EP, which means it'll be 2 songs on each side. It won't be the big hole in the middle. It'll be the regular spindle size. But I think that's going to be popular because they can put the nice sleeves on that as well. And turntables. I think you'll see more and more turntables that play a record sideways, not flat, but you can put your turntable on the wall and play it sideways. And this will be ideal for homes that are small homes and don't have a lot of space. So those are my predictions.
Very good. All right. Well, we've got them on tape now. We're going to see where you go with that. That's interesting.
I hope I'm here next year to listen.
Well, yeah. I mean, we all hope that too, don't we? Right. So now let's see what Dewey has to say. Let me share my screen, and we should. Come down here. There we go.
Folks, those were
kicked the last couple of weeks. And so my prediction involves 5G, which I always refer to as cellular 5G, just in case there's anyone out there that's just a little on the edge and doesn't understand that 5G is strictly something cellular. I predict that in 2021, cellular 5G will become the standard for cell phones. Though 4G and 4G LTE technology will continue to be used, it will be fading away. For most people, though, 5G will not be the predicted 10 to 100 times faster. 5G also will be more efficient. I should have stated after that first sentence that it won't be 10 to 100 times faster, that rather it will be more like 5 times faster, far short. 5G will also become more efficient, allowing one to load pages and download content more quickly, as well as have better quality video calls. Adding value to 5G in 2021 will also be advances in AI, artificial intelligence, and that will upgrade user experiences like never before. So it's all pretty much positive, except the speed won't be what we formerly expected.
I think you were right on, Dewey. I think you got it. I think you nailed it, right? I think what you said turned out to be true. Any comments?
Well, one thing I noticed, I was wearing the same shirt a year ago as I'm wearing today. But and of course, that was before my stroke, which changed a lot of things in my life. But anyway, I think I was a little too optimistic on the 5G because it's going to be a long time, as I will state today in my piece that you'll play back later. Well, anyway, are you interested in my predictions today?
I am. Yeah, tell us what we're all ears.
I'm not exactly a big predictor type for sure, and I have one hunch that our COVID current pandemic is going to be aided by biotechnology. By the bio-revolution, and technology in the bio-revolution will help bring our COVID pandemic to an end within this year. My next prediction is one I kind of borrowed from somebody else or from another source. It says that cyber AI will be harnessed to make internet users safer. So in other words, much more use of artificial intelligence. That's not going to take Bob's job away because for sure he's going to have that for a long time. Anyway, and my third prediction has to be with the metaverse. The talk about the metaverse is going to be getting on our nerves because most people don't know the meaning of the word metaverse, and it's kind of mysterious anyway. So you hear too much about metaverse. And my fourth prediction is that Ron Brown will continue to complain about the battery in his Galaxy Watch 4. So, okay.
Did you see the carving the turkey? I was wearing my Galaxy Watch 4. Did you see the promo?
Yes, I didn't realize you had the white one.
I did. Yeah.
I got the black one. I kind of like your white one.
Did I mention about the battery charging on the watch?
Not while you were carving the turkey, thankfully.
Thanks, Dewey. We're going to hold you to it. Thanks a lot. Now, Bill James, of course, didn't give us his predictions last year, but he's going to give us his predictions this year. Now, Bill, you have 5 minutes and that's it. I know you've got a whole page of predictions, but you only get 5 minutes. So
I think I can handle that.
5 minutes is all you get. So we don't have any, you didn't tell us last year. So tell us this year what you think.
Well, since my interest is gadgets, the thing I think we should watch is electric cars. I think with the Tesla's getting more competition, and with the launch of Ford and Mercedes and Rolls-Royce getting into the fray, that these cars are going to become more commonplace. I think the range is going to no longer be an issue, as well as places to charge them. And the two vehicles I think we need to really watch is the Ford F-150 Lightning and the Lucid Air. And there's also a third pickup that's called the Rivian RT1. The Lucid Air and the Rivian truck both garnered Motor Trend's Vehicles of the Year this year for 22. The other thing is the Tesla Cybertruck. I don't think that's going to make 2022. It was slated to be in production by 2021. It's got delayed, and so I think it'll be another year before that shows on the horizon. And another surprising thing that Tesla is doing is the Tesla smartphone. That was a surprise, and I think we should watch that. It's going to be tied with a lot of the Elon Musk ecosystems, the car, and it's going to be controlled with that, as long as, among other things, as well as Starlink. It's supposed to be powered by Starlink, as a matter of fact. And then there is the conglomeration that is going to be looking at trying to make the Internet of Things all compatible. It's called Matter. We'll probably see more devices with that logo on it. So that means that when you buy a smart device with the Matter logo, it should work seamlessly with your other devices. I think Microsoft is going to continue its focus on cloud. They're building their, they're the number 2 public cloud provider at the moment, and I think they're really striving to become number 1. I agree with Hewie on the foldable phone, and someone to watch for is Apple, supposed to be introducing its iPhone 14 Flip. So that means it's going to get, we're going to see probably foldable phones becoming more affordable as more people, companies get involved with. And lastly, the probably most ridiculous thing that happened in 2021, and we want to see if it will actually flourish in 22, is the LG foldable TV. It came about at an astronomical $90,000. And something that's funny that I read, that Tom, who produces Tom Sky, he said this. It says, perhaps LG will learn lessons from this fancy TV that will make it cheaper in the future, or help other products get better, or even open up possibilities for entirely new categories in the coming years. There's a lot of lessons that can be learned from bleeding edge technology. But the bigger lesson, I think, TV manufacturers, and this also pertains to others as well, will have to learn the hard way that six-figure prices aren't remotely realistic.
Right?
And
Is that it?
that's it.
There you go. You know, we're going to hold you to this. Now you've got a bit out on the limb there. You're a little more further out than the rest. The rest of the guys sort of did very comforting stuff. That how can you be wrong on saying 5G might be a little bit better, right?
But I really go to limb on the electric cars, but I think that's really going to be
that's good.
We're going to be surprised.
We'll see. I'm gonna give you my predictions now. Bob, you're probably getting teed up and getting ready to go.
Yep.
And let me just give you a couple of my predictions. An interesting statistic this morning I was listening to is that Google, if I asked you what was the most searched domain name on the internet, you would all choose Google. And that was true last year, but the most searched domain name on internet this year was TikTok. So it was not Google, it was TikTok. So that's an interesting, life is changing. My prediction is, well, a couple of things. I think that the watch technology will, and health monitoring, whether it's with a ring or a watch, will continue to explode. You'll see a new watch coming out, of course, from Google. I think you'll see blood sugar monitoring this year. I think that the next Apple Watch will have, I'm going to go out on the limb in this and say the next Apple Watch will be able to do blood sugar monitoring. I think that will occur this year. I'm going to go out on a little bit of a flyer here and see what, I'm either going to be right or wrong on this. I think that Windows 11, I think that it's going to be forced on you in a lot of different ways, which we can discuss later. But I think that the runaround with Windows 11 will be advertising. I think that I see Microsoft is moving into an advertising module with Windows 11, and that there will be, obviously, like YouTube, there will be a paid version, which of course will get rid of the advertising, and a non-page, which won't. And I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb about that, but I've been talking about that for a number of years. And I think that we'll see how that model comes along. So those are my predictions. Bob, are you ready to roll?
Why not?
Go ahead.
Here is the Avast Security News Roundup for the week ending December 24th, 2021. Global IT services provider Inetum hit by ransomware attack. Less than a week before Christmas holiday, French IT service company Inetum Group was hit by a ransomware attack that had a limited impact on the business and its customers. Inetum is active in more than 26 countries, providing digital services to companies in various sectors: aerospace and defense, banking, automotive, energy and utilities, healthcare, insurance, retail, public sector, transportation, telecom, and media. On Sunday, December 19th, Inetum became the target of a ransomware attack that affected some of its operations in France and did not spread to larger infrastructure used by the customers. Inetum Group has notified authorities about the attack and is collaborating with specialized cybercrime units. A third party has also been called in for incident response services. Read more at Bleeping Computer. Stealthy blister malware slips in unnoticed on Windows systems. Security researchers have uncovered a malicious campaign that relies on a valid code signing certificate to disguise malicious code as legitimate executables. One of the payloads that the researchers called Blister acts as a loader for other malware and appears to be a novel threat that enjoys a low detection rate. The threat actor behind Blister has been relying on multiple techniques to keep their attacks under the radar. The use of code signing certificates being only one of their tricks. While the objective of these attacks on the initial infection vector remains unclear, by combining valid code signing certificates, malware embedded in legitimate libraries, and execution of payloads in memory, that threat actors increased their chances for a successful attack. Read more details on Bleeping Computer. NVIDIA and HPE products affected by Log4j vulnerabilities. NVIDIA and Hewlett Packard Enterprise have confirmed that some of their products are affected by the recently discovered vulnerabilities in the Apache Log4j logging utility. In an advisory update on Wednesday, NVIDIA confirmed that the Log4j security defects affect CUDA Toolkit, Visual Profiler, and Nsight Eclipse Edition, NetQ, and vGPU software license server. The company also notes that while the DGX systems do not include the Log4j Java library, users might have installed the vulnerable utility as additional software. Thus, NVIDIA decided to release fixes for multiple DGX OS releases as well. Hewlett Packard Enterprise, on the other hand, says that some of its products are also affected by CVE 2021-4104, a deserialized and untrusted data vulnerability that can be triggered by an attacker with access to Log4j configuration and which results in remote code execution. Only Log4j 1.2 configured to use JMS appender is affected. The company has identified roughly 60 products that use the vulnerable library and has already published security notices, including patches and mitigations, and security bulletins for them. You'll find details at Security Week. Hackable infusion pump is a ransomware risk to patients. Security researchers have long warned that the largely theoretical risk of security vulnerabilities in increasingly connected medical equipment, but McAfee Advanced Threat Research recently demonstrated that the risk has become very real, as vulnerable equipment is left exposed by hospitals that have been kneecapped by strict change management policies. A team of ATR threat researchers recently revealed the outcomes of a more than 18-month investigation into security vulnerabilities in medical equipment such as automatic infusion pumps. For the full story, see the article at Cybercrime Magazine. Bots are stealing Christmas. Here are just some of the malicious automation trends. 4-time increase in automated online gift card lookup attempts. 10 times the increase in malicious login attempts due to credential stuffing. Discovery of a new type of sophisticated all-in-one bot used primarily during hype drop sales that is more efficient and effective than its predecessors. Majority of Black Friday bad bots come from the US, followed by Australia and the UK. As we approach 2022, a frequency and severity of bad bots continue to threaten online businesses, said Sam Crowther, CEO of Hasada. The level of sophistication we are witnessing within the botting community is at an all-time high as they continue to collaborate and improve upon their methods to conduct online fraud and generate profit through the use of malicious automation. Details are available at Help Net Security. This week's must read on the Avast blog. If you visit the internet, you need this advice to help you stay safe while you're online. Read the article at the following link or watch my video on this topic by watching the following link. And that wraps up this week's Avast Security News Roundup. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bob. That's good. Thank you for the bad news. I guess we're gonna have to stay on our toes and keep listening to you, right?
Just stay on your toes.
Stay on our toes, right? For those of you who don't know, Bob does, of course, a lot of videos, not just on security. Thank you so much for all you do. His videos and all the work he does can be found in our newsletter. The links are there in the newsletter, so please go and have a look. He does produce, particularly if you're just getting started on Windows 11, he's got a whole bunch of Windows 11 videos. So thanks, Bob, for all you do, and thank you for your security talk and your predictions. All right, let's get on. And Dewey prepared a segment. Let's see what Dewey has to say today.
Good morning, friends. I'm Dewey, and my Tech Talk topic for today is 5G and ASTC 3.0 happenings, December 27th, 2021. If you had to guess the number one worry for airline execs right now, what would you say? Omicron causing staffing shortages, rude passengers refusing to mask up? Well, in a story last week at morningbrew.com, what the industry is most concerned about, according to Southwest CEO Gary Kelly, is the arrival of a new 5G wireless service standard from AT&T and Verizon on January 5th, 2022. Kelly argued that this launch will interfere with key cockpit systems and lead to major air disruptions for travelers in the new year. United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby said that the 5G rollout could delay, divert, or cancel perhaps 4% of daily flights. The trade group Airlines for America projected 5G-related delays will cost passengers $1.6 billion annually if 5G is implemented. So why can't 5G and cockpits get along? Well, airline execs say cellular 5G C-band signals could conflict with cockpit systems used to track a plane's altitude and help with landings in bad weather. A dense fog rolling into Chicago's O'Hare Airport might deem landings unsafe. This could wreak scheduling havoc across U.S. airports. The morningbrew.com article continued saying that in response to these concerns, telecom leaders are playing the world's smallest violin, rather humorous. Wireless companies paid more than $80 billion for the rights to C-band and are not about to let airlines executives ruin their much hype push into 5G wireless networks, especially when they consider those concerns unfounded. The aviation industry's fear-mongering relies on completely discredited information and deliberate distortions of fact. Nick Ludlam, Senior Vice President at the Wireless Trade Group Consumer Telecommunications Industry Association, said recently. Telecom and aviation industry leaders are locked in high-stakes negotiations with the White House and government regulators over a deal that would dim their 5G signal power near airports. This topic was discussed at last Thursday's Tech for Seniors live show. Now, Ray Baxter commented that cellular companies do a lot of business around airports and want to be able to provide 5G service there as well. Ron Brown mentioned that 5G has already been deployed in parts of the world like Southeast Asia and India, including at airports. In fact, Ron said China is now moving into 6G. TFS security staff member Bob Gustisha brought it home, saying, in this case, you have the airline still trying to use old bandwidth, which really should be retired. And that's where the problem comes in. They're behind and don't want to upgrade and move away from old technology. I think Bob made a very strong point. However, development, testing, and implementation of new control systems, which would be compatible with cellular 5G C-band, is certain to take several years. Considering that there are more than 60 airlines, both domestic and international, flying several thousand planes in and out of nearly 6,000 public airports in America, gives a pretty good idea of the scope of the problem. You may expect to hear more about this dilemma in coming weeks for sure. US and Canadian telecom carriers have been hyping 5G for several years, claiming blazingly fast upload and download speeds that could usher in everything from driverless cars to movie downloads in less than a minute. Of course, that clearly hasn't happened for most people. Luckily, in the US, that appears to be changing, according to a story at gizmodo.com last week, revealing that a new report by Ookla placed the US at the very top of the list of 40 countries in terms of 5G availability. By the way, Ookla is the company that offers speedtest.net for free testing of internet speeds. To determine these results, Ookla tested to see what percentage of users with 5G devices spent the majority of their time actually on 5G during the third quarter of 2021. Under that criteria, the US ranked number one with 49.2% availability. But hold on, and don't whip out your red, white, and blue foam finger just yet, because it's not all good news. Though the US ranks first in availability, its actual download speeds were among the worst of early 5G adopter nations, with median 5G download speeds at just 93.73 megabits per second. That's the US. This was far lower than the United Kingdom's 184.2 megabits per second, and way lower than number one South Korea's 492.48 Mbps. Wow. The US placed approximately the same for upload speeds as well. A separate 5G availability analysis from opensignal.com earlier this year determined that T-Mobile testers were connected with 5G just 34.7% of the time. Now that's not great, but it looks phenomenal when compared with AT&T's 5G connection rate at 16.4% and my beloved Verizon's rate of a measly 9.7%. Ooh. One critic termed AT&T and Verizon as fake it until you make it. I think that's humorous. Nevertheless, it needs to be remembered that number one, telecommunication companies in both the US and Canada have spent billions implementing 5G and buying spectrum. And two, predictions are that 5G and more advanced technologies will likely be continuing to roll out for perhaps a decade. Informed smartphone users presently seem pretty laid back about 5G, and few are willing to spend the extra dollars for relatively modest increases in speed. Now, on the other hand, fixed-based 5G, totally different from cellular 5G, it's from and transmitting antennas to homes and businesses, it's another story. I think I just found my topic for next week's Tech Talk. Just wait and see. The popularity of cable and satellite TV has taken the shine off broadcast antenna TV for the past 40 years. ASTC 3.0, also known as Next Gen TV, is broadcast TV with ultra high definition 4K video, HDR, and so forth, lots of other stuff for an amazing picture. And they plan to make antenna TV great again. ATSC stands for the Advanced Television Systems Committee. It's a television industry sponsored group that promotes and helps establish international broadcast TV standards, and that's their logo at the right. CordCuttersNews.com reported last week that Next Gen TV is launched at WHTM TV in the Harrisburg, PA television market. It's common in Next Gen TV launchings that other area stations, whether they're over the air, cable, or satellite, cooperate to ensure the new Next Gen station's current programming remains available to all viewers using the present standard. You understand the new stations don't have enough bandwidth to do both for a while. Antenna viewers can simply rescan their TV sets to ensure full TV service. With NextGen TV, viewers will get improved video and sound quality, added voice clarity, consistent volume across channels, enhanced internet content on demand, and advanced emergency alerting functions to help keep viewers better informed. I first told you about NextGen TV last April, and I'll refresh your memory on it next week, along with updated information on 5G fixed base, which I told you about, which provides home and small business high-speed internet. I'll close today's Tech Talk with this brief story. At last Thursday's Tech for Seniors Live, my good friend Ron Brown was again belly aching about the short battery life of his Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 because recharging his Watch 4 takes longer than his morning shower and getting ready for the day. Then he consequently has to go back downstairs later, get his watch, but he sometimes forgets, which inconveniences him and really screws up his busy schedule. For what it's worth, Ron and I both bought our Galaxy Watch 4s when they were introduced early last August. I had the same problem once, so I went to Amazon and spent $13 for a pair of chargers. Later today, I plan to send one of these two chargers to Ron as a gift. It'll probably cost me way more to send it to Canada than the $6.50 I paid for it, but if it makes Ron's life happier and stops his grousing once and for all about the watch's battery, it'll be worth it. Well, that's my Tech Talk story for today, and I guess I'm stuck with it. Well, stay safe. Have a great day. Happy New Year. And the good Lord willing, we'll see you in 2022.
Well done, well done, well done. And I look forward to my Christmas present. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, thanks so much. Just before we get on to Ray's segment, I want to thank all of you over on YouTube who are watching. If you want to pop over into our Zoom meeting, that's fine, and participate in the Q&A at top of the hour. Come on over. Otherwise, we're going to stop the broadcast now over on YouTube, and we wish you well, and we'll see you next year. We'll be back again next Monday, of course, and but that will be next year. So we'll see you again in